Hey everybody, welcome to Paranormal Zone TV. Do you believe web series? And tonight, please, for those who may be new to the show, if you would please subscribe, I'd appreciate it. And if you would please give the show a like, I'd appreciate that as also, because I have two fabulous guests with me tonight, and I'm so excited. I have Dave Spinks, paranormal investigator. Hold it, boy. Paranormal investigator. He's a creator of Real Supernatural and the Society of Supernatural, and soon to be published book, which we're so excited. We're chomping at the bit, waiting for that. And also Sean Austin, a paranormal investigator, songwriter, singer, and a cast member of Demon Files on Destination America. Tonight's topic, Dave and Sean will be discussing the sinister history of Bobby Mackey's, their investigation, and evidence captured at Bobby Mackey's. So with that, everyone, please, let's welcome Dave and Sean. Hey guys, welcome to the show.
Hey Nora, thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Now tonight, like I said, our topic is Bobby Mackey's. It's Bobby Mackey's music world, one of the most haunted locations in America in Wilder, Kentucky. So, Dave and Sean, do you want to talk a little bit about Bobby Mackey's? And we could start talking also about the slaughterhouse.
Yeah, sure. Let me first tell you guys. Me and Sean actually met at Bobby. What was it, about 5 years ago, Sean? First time we were there. And yeah, it was 4 or 5 years ago. We were on an investigation there, and that's where we first became friends. And we recently went back to Bobby Mackey's in February of this year. And Bobby Mackey's is a notorious haunted location, guys. It goes all the way back to the early 19th century. It was used as a slaughterhouse for cattle. Cincinnati and Wilder, Kentucky, across the river from Cincinnati, was a huge slaughterhouse area for cattle. And that's the first history of where Bobby Mackey's now sits.
Mm-hmm. And not only that, Dave, what about the well that's in the basement? Do they call that the basement, where they used to have all the runoff of the blood and the guts and everything?
Oh yeah, there's actually at one point there were several of those wells on the property, from what I understand, and that one being the one that's actually in Bobby Mackey's in the basement now. And that's where they would drain the blood from all the dead cattle. So, a lot of folks believe, in the animal spirit world as well as the human spirit world, and you can imagine all of those cattle's blood being drained out of them into that hole, and that creates bad energy in itself in some people's belief system.
Dave and Sean, there was also talk about satanic activity that took place at Bobby Mackey's. What do you guys know about that?
Well, the head of, the lady's head that was thrown down, that was not in the vein of a satanic worship thing as well. Obviously decapitating someone over that well with all that blood that actually goes down there as it is with all these animals, it's almost like you taint all the blood that's already gone through that and that whole property with satanic taint, so to speak, all over the blood and the dark energy. Talk about a perfect place to open up a portal where dark things can come in and out of to wreak havoc, and obviously could also influence future dark events and influencing people psychologically to create more horrible, horrific acts onto people or onto themselves and so forth, just creating this perfect storm of dark energy that's just swirling around constantly, that's created what we know as today as Bobby Mackey's.
Absolutely, that's absolutely right. Hey, now what about the murder of Pearl Bryan? That happened in 1896. She was 22 years old. You want to talk about that?
Sure. Yeah, the two guys that were eventually convicted and hanged from Pearl Bryan's murder, there was talk that they were into some type of occultism or whatever it may be. But I don't know if that was ever proven. But she would, like Sean said, her head was supposedly chopped off and put in the well. I don't know if there's any factual information to back that up. Do you, Sean? I mean, I don't know if it was actually found in the well or not, but they know she was identified from the tag in her special shoes she had. That's how they identified the body.
Yeah. And she was pregnant, and her boyfriend was Scott Jackson, a student at Ohio College in dental surgery, and he urged her to come to Cincinnati where he could arrange for an abortion. And his roommate, Alonzo Walling, attempted the abortion, but something went horribly wrong. So
and I think they may have tried to cover that all up by doing the pseudo ritual, if you will, to make it look as if someone, maybe some kind of satanic worshippers did that to her in an attempt to cover that whole situation up.
And do you think that's why?
I mean, that's just my opinion.
Do you think that's why they cut off her head?
Yeah,
I know. That's right. They cut off her head so they couldn't identify the body. And what you said, Dave, they identified her by the shoes.
Yes,
that's what happened. Her by the
tags. She had specially made shoes from Indiana, and that's how they were able to identify the body.
Right. And they were both found guilty. Now it's said that while on the gallows waiting to die, Alonzo Welling vowed to haunt the area forever. Mm-hmm. Now, in your investigation that you both conducted at Bobby Mackey's, were you ever in contact with Alonzo?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I don't ever remember getting that name on any of the devices we were using. However, there is a highly, highly negative presences in that building and on that property. Wouldn't you agree, Sean?
Oh yeah, I mean, when I first met Dave, we actually met at Bobby Mackey's, like he had actually said before, and I right around that time I was kind of technically coerced to play with the Ouija board, which obviously, and no one should actually do, but in a way that actually made me stronger spiritually. It actually turned, I ended up going to Bobby Mackey's right after I played with the Ouija board, and I feel like it was kind of this continuation, because while we were there, I mean, I started to go into a trance in that small room to the left of that, the basement, and I remember actually it's on video too. We had the flashlight going, and I was asking, if you're a female, turn on the flashlight. We were asking if you're like below 12 years old, like turn it off. If you're, above 12 years old, turn it off. And it never answered. And then I'm like, well, were you never alive? And then it responds to saying that it's a female inhuman spirit. And then like it says my name. And I'm like, if you know who I am, turn off the flashlight, and then it turns it off. Yeah, I mean, we had some wacky stuff happen that night, but I mean, that's actually how my oppression actually started when I came home, because actually we didn't really talk about Johanna, but Johanna was, I guess, the daughter of the father who owned Bobby Mackey's when it was a gambling joint to some degree, if I
in the correct. 1950s, yeah.
Yeah, and she had actually, slept with one of the guys from the gambling joint, and I guess the father found out, and she was pregnant, and I guess the father was just livid because he hated the guy and actually murdered the guy, and then she ended up hanging herself. And it was actually weird is when I got home, within like 5 to 7 days, just a couple of weird things started to happen to me. I got into my car, it was like raining, and like I ran to my car and I just looked at my windshield, and the letters JS were written on my windshield from the inside. And I'm like, there's no way I could have done that. There's no way no one else done that, because I'm the only one driving that car. And I even took a picture of it, and I just thought it was weird, because you think about it, I wasn't really putting the puzzle pieces together. I'm thinking, because around that time I had just got into paranormal investigating, and you're going around a bunch of haunted places. This stuff could be coming from 12 different directions. And a few days after that, I mean, I'm sitting at the computer, and I feel burning on the top of my feet, and I look down, and I'm like bleeding on the top right of my foot with 3 scratches, and the left part of my top foot is so red, and it's it's so funny, like, I don't know what the heck happened, and the next day my sister sees me, and she's like, what the frick is that? It looks like you have the friggin' stigmata. I'm like, I don't know.
Oh.
And then after that, I started to go into the stages of oppression, and I can comfortably say oppression from an evil spirit is probably the worst physical pain or psychological, spiritual, emotional pain that I've ever felt in my life within the 2 to 3 weeks that I had it. I wanted to be alone, and like I started gravitating, going to the graveyard by myself, and I would be sitting there, and I was starting to smell the rotting flesh and go into that same type of trance exactly that I went into in the basement of Bobby Mackey's around that time when I met Dave. And I was recording audio, and you'd hear these things saying, hail to this demon and hail to that demon right around that time. And it was so bad, like I couldn't drive my car. I'd have to pull it over just so I could feel like I could breathe. I'd try to work out at the gym. I'd run out of there. I felt like I was being buried alive. I'd be working at an office at that time, and I had to run to the bathroom for cold water in my face because it just literally feels like you're being stabbed all over your body. Like it's almost like your family's being burnt alive. You feel like, I would never kill myself, but this is so much pain that you would actually sit there and consider it. And I didn't know what to do. I'd have to drink a couple beers just to subside it. I would be waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, going up and down the stairs and stuff like that. And, I didn't know what to do. And finally, I just started researching online. There's got to be something. And I looked up about grounding, psychic protection. And I just did this, like, exercise of standing there and, imagine this white light all around me and this visual exercise of breathing in and breathing out and, like, surround myself with the white light of Jesus Christ. And did this whole thing of, pretending your feet are roots and going deep into the ground. And because this pain was so bad, like I didn't know what to do. And within minutes of doing this, I felt like 75% better. And I saw a red glowing ball fly right out my window. And I said, mother effer, I knew I was oppressed. That was a big learning experience coming out of there. Because there's a lot of people that come out of Bobby Mackey's and you get oppressed, and there's so many different types of oppressions or attacks that go on. But for me, I definitely believe that God let me go through that for a reason, because I can have a deeper understanding of what oppression really is like. So when I actually go to a person who might need some spiritual help, when they might be going through spiritual turmoil of oppression, I'd be like, I know exactly what that's like. And you kind of know that there's a whole other layer of the way that these evil spirits attack. It's not just physical, because I think a lot of people just assume, like, oh, things are going to fly around the room, you're going to get scratched, and they can go home and, play with the Care Bears. But, there's no conception of time in the spirit realm. Past, present, and future are the same thing. So they can sit dormant and wait patiently, very easily. It's no waiting at all. And I say this all the time. They have your worst days in your life blacked out on a calendar when they had the permission and the invitation that you opened up, which also what I like to call spiritual rules of engagement. When you open up that door, you're allowing these things to come in, and they don't have to come in today, tomorrow, next month, and next year. They will sit and wait until it is the best time to attack and create the most chaos in your life and all your loved ones all around you. And that's where the real delicate part of evil spirits attacks that actually can happen to any of us. And that's why I try to tell everyone, it's not physical, it's psychological. The trickery, the amplifying of negative emotions that they can put onto us, they can push you right to the edge. They can never push over your free will, but they can push you right to the edge where you'll actually consider jumping. And that's the real scary thing here.
Yeah, and that's what we talk about a lot, we try to warn people that this stuff is not a game. When Sean came in, when we first met at Bobby Mackey's, like he said, he was kind of coerced into using a Ouija board. You had never used one, and that opened him up to the negative entities in that building, and he had some really bad problems from that for quite a while. And, we try to tell people about this stuff. It's not child's play, guys. It's serious stuff.
And
it's like spiritual roulette. That's really what it is. I mean, Ouija board is like a spiritual gun to your head, and you're just like, you're playing Russian roulette with your soul. That's basically what you're doing.
And actually, we did have that question from one of the viewers, John Johan. Did either Dave or the other investigator, Sean, experience a demonic or oppressive attachment when they came home? And that was their question.
Yeah, and another thing that happened to me, Noreen, was I had a physical attack on me. I don't know if you remember, Sean, but my ankle was hurting really, really bad. and I was limping around. By the end of the night, by the end of the investigation, I could barely walk, and my ankle had swelled up to the size of a softball, and I didn't know what the hell was going on, and I was like, what is this, And it was just really, I don't think there's so much thing as coincidence. I've never had an attack of anything like that. Well, when I got home, it was so bad I had to go to the doctor the next morning. I couldn't walk. It was pure pain, and found out I had an attack of gout. Now, what's the odds of that? I've never had anything like that. You know what I mean? And ever since Bobby Mackey's, I've had some bouts with gout. Never had it before. Never, experienced anything like that. And that night at Bobby Mackey's, something happened.
Mm-hmm.
And we experienced shadow figures down in that basement like I've never seen before. We were having all kinds of shadow play all throughout the basement. Sean was getting weird responses on the device he was using. Plus, when he was doing the flashlight session, it was saying it was a demonic female of some sort and weird stuff. It was just really crazy. And that was up until, I've been investigating for a long, long time. And up until that day, I had never experienced that much activity in any other location, that much. It was overwhelming down in the basement area. And then physical attacks on me, I really feel that was a physical attack on me. And Sean was spiritually and emotionally attacked, So
well, that's the thing. I think there's got to be some sort of connection to how it affects everyone differently. Like someone might actually get some sort of health issue, and someone might be a psychological attack. I think it's dependent on individually, maybe like the history of our soul, or us as human beings, or somebody maybe connected to our lineage, that they're able to attack us. So different in every single individual. It's pretty interesting, but all we can do is speculate about it. We can't definitively say how and when and why they can attack us so differently, and it's but it's not just scratches, but it's health issues that arise that are strange and unexplained.
Mm-hmm. When Dave and Sean, when we talk about Carl, then we'll get into the illnesses that some other people have had as well, because it might all be related. But getting back to Johanna, the coincidence about this whole thing with Johanna is that the singer that she fell in love with, his name was Robert Randall, which is the same name that Bobby Mackey's real name is, Robert Randall Mackey, correct?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So then what happened, Bobby Mackey, I guess there was a prohibition period in the mobster years, and then the slaughterhouse was demolished in the early part of the 20th century, and the lot sat empty until the 1920s, and then a new building was erected that served as a casino, a nightclub, and speakeasy during the Prohibition. When Prohibition ended in 1933, do you know the story about that? And E. Buck Brady bought the building and named it Primrose?
Yes.
Oh.
The mob during that time was very heavy in that whole area. Just across the river, there was a whole strip there that was numerous gambling joints. Bobby Mackey's was one of them, and of course they served illegal alcohol. And whenever the mob's involved, guys, we all know there's murder, debauchery, the whole 9 yards. People owing people money, loan sharks, whatever the case may be. So there's a lot of bad energy again associated in that one general area on that property, and that all leads into this type of negative haunting, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Then in 1978, after a series of fatal shootings and the rough time at the nightclub, the local authorities forced the establishment to close. However, later that same year, in 1978, the young country singer named Bobby Mackey purchased the building, and he turned it into the music hall and tavern as it stands today. So do you want to take over now, Dave and Sean? Do you want to go into Do you want to go into, let's go into Carl Lawson, how he found the well.
Well, Carl Lawson was a local guy who lived there, and when Bobby and his wife and soon to be expecting wife were fixing up the place, they needed a handyman, and they hired Carl, and he found the well hidden down in the basement, and he almost immediately, like during the time they were fixing the place up, him and Bobby Mackey's wife and Carl, they started experiencing things in that inside of the building, and she was shoved, and they witnessed numerous weird things, like blood running out of the sinks. I think she actually went down the stairs and was taken to the hospital. She was pushed by an unseen force. So they started having all these crazy experiences, and of course Bobby Mackey is a real skeptic, when it comes to this stuff, and he had a really hard time with it. And there's numerous shows about this, this story. It's a very well-known story, and you can watch those shows, and see what all they experienced. And Carl started getting possessed. You want to jump in anytime, Sean, if you want to fill him in on anything.
I mean, I don't remember all the bits and pieces of the stories. I think you sound like you're a little more than me. But he got possessed, and there was an exorcism done on him in the bar. It was in the bar, I believe, and obviously that video is on YouTube. Him screaming during that exorcism, obviously it led to him having health issues himself, right, Dave?
Oh yeah, he was having really bad health issues, and he was telling everyone that, hey, they want to kill me. These spirits are going to kill me. And when they did the exorcism, from what I understand, he was talking in other voices and everything, and those two evil entities came through and said they were going to kill him, and they wanted his soul. And eventually he came down with cancer and died even after the exorcism. So yet again, there's someone that's very heavily associated with that building. Now, whether the cancer was caused by spirits, we can't say. It's just like our situation that me and Sean had. We can't say without a shadow of a doubt it was paranormal that caused that. But, there's no such thing as so much coincidence when it comes to so many people being affected health-wise in different ways at this building.
Mm-hmm. And especially him, who had to actually live on the property upstairs from the main part of the bar, and to actually live there. And for me, from my own experiences too, because I feel like I'm most vulnerable, me having psychic abilities that I'm still learning about, I'm still, harnessing and learning from every experience that I can have, and knowing, like, when I go to sleep, that I'm the most vulnerable when I'm trying to sleep. And these things can float over you and project all sorts of, visions and nightmares and all sorts of things over you while you're sleeping to influence you, and to be sleeping right on the top of one of the considered darkest portals in America with all the dark history. I mean, there's definitely a lot of possibility that there could be connections to some of the horrible things that he went through, psychologically, physically, spiritually, etc.
Mm-hmm. Now that entity was his name was Charlie, and in Carl's nightmares, Charlie would tell him to go downstairs and dig. That's how Carl found the well?
Yeah, supposedly that's the story that's how Carl found the well, and that's what he said. That's what he reported to people. That's how he found that well. So, and it's pretty spooky stuff.
And they today now they call that the portal to hell. And Bobby Mackey's friend, Doug Hensley, wrote a book called Hell's Gate, which connects the events of the past and the hauntings to the present.
Yeah. I personally feel that there's locations like Bobby Mackey's all around the world. I think there are many portals, whether they're there before things happen. I also think that all that bad negative energy can create a portal such as Bobby Mackey's, and that may, in that particular case, may be one. And that may be what causes that to be a portal for evil entities to be able to come and go as they please.
Yeah, I think I kind of have like a theory that, like, depending on the level or the actual specific type of tragedy or horrific event that actually happens, allows certain types of entities to actually come in and out of a portal. And you talk about a place that has horrible murders and suicides and tortures and satanic rituals, that's a low vibrational acts that have gone on. So a low vibrational portal will open up so low vibrational entities can come in and out of that thing into that property and just run amok and do all sorts of devious things to anyone that comes on the property and acknowledges it or walks onto their layer of dark energy.
Now, Dave, there was. Are we allowed to say anything about Wanda?
I wouldn't.
All right.
She worked there many years, and
you don't have to say the name, just that she was the tour guide there. Can you?
Yeah, Wanda was a friend of mine. She worked there many years, and now she is very sick herself. So whether that's called, she's awesome. So whether that's caused by that location, there's no proof of that. But yet again, there's one of those things. People that are heavily associated in areas like that coming down with these strange sicknesses, and it's not just Carl and Wanda. There's other paranormal investigators, guys, that are, they're coming up with all these crazy, they're fine one day and they start getting sick. Next day they go to the doctor and they have a terminal illness. So whether there's some kind of weird connection to all this there, I don't know, but it's pretty interesting and pretty freaking scary if you think about it. Is there some kind of connection to these low type of negative locations and folks spending a lot of time there coming down with these illnesses and whatnot?
Mm-hmm. Can you tell us more about your investigation there at Bobby Mackey's?
Yeah, go ahead, Sean. You can start it off. Our last one, our newest one there.
Our last one, it was so freaking cold. I might have been a little more afraid of freezing to death than the actual creatures from other dimensions that are floating all around us. But we went there and we had some interesting. We saw some shadow stuff upstairs, right, Dave? And we actually had access to go up into Carl's apartment, and we started taking some EVPs. And I think I don't know if you asked it, Dave. Carl is just a portal to hell downstairs, and it was just a clear Class A EVP of yes. And it was creepy. And we were actually sitting there in the apartment, and the whole floor started to shake out of nowhere. And it was just really strange. That was the first part.
We definitely got, in my personal opinion, without a shadow of a doubt, it was Carl answering us, man.
Do you want me to play that EVP?
Play that EVP.
Okay.
We got, Noreen.
All right, so this one was number 3, but hold on, let me play this one. Okay, hold on.
What Noreen's showing right now was Carl's apartment. It was in pretty rough shape. I think they just use it for storage now. But
All right, hold on. All right, I'm going to play it now.
Carl, is the basement a portal to hell? Yes or no? Carl, is the basement a portal to hell? Yes or no? Carl,
behind the camera, making sure I had everything in frame, and all of a sudden you hear this ping, 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 and I had just walked over to the table and had put an empty Copenhagen can down on the table, and it was 30 feet away, Sean.
Yeah,
and it was crazy. It was crazy. I mean, you can tell it scares the living crap out of all of us. We're like, what the hell was that? And there we turned the flashlights on. We're looking around, and there's my chew can from 30 feet away was thrown either over our head or between us. I don't know. We didn't capture it flying on the camera, but you can clearly hear it. It's really loud.
All right, I'm going to play it now. Hold on.
Johanna, do you remember us from being here before? Are you? If you're trapped here, turn it back on. Oh,
Wow.
The fuck?
wow.
That was directly to my left here. A bottle was just thrown or dropped.
No fucking way.
And the light won't turn back on.
Where?
As soon as I said, Johanna, are you trapped here?
Where's that? Where is that?
Dude, that was my
That's your
fucking...
tin!
I set it on the table over
Oh
there.
shit!
What?
That was my
Put the
Copenhagen.
flashlight back on there.
My Copenhagen was on the table
Oh.
over there, dude.
What?
My empty can. I just walked over there and set it there, dude.
Oh my god.
Okay, I just played it for him.
Yeah, so you guys can see, we're all concentrating on what we were doing, and then you just hear it just clanging all over the place. And then they walk over and find it right there, so it was pretty spooky. For something to have that much power to pick something up and throw it, that's unheard of, really. You rarely see that kind of thing.
That was definitely a first for me. I've never had something thrown at us, or me, individually. Yeah, I've never seen something. It's really, we don't even know how it got over there. Like you said, it was over our heads, or just straight behind us. Perfectly, they did it on purpose, so we wouldn't have it on camera, of course, though.
Yeah, that's how it seems to happen. But it was a clear message for us to get the hell out of there, and we had gotten get out. I don't know how many times earlier in the night, on the devices we were using. Something didn't like us there, and
well, I thought the interesting timing of that too, Dave, was like when we were doing the flashlight session, I was starting to ask like Johanna, because I feel this obligation for like some trapped souls, like if they want help, I'm going to sit there and say a prayer for them, because I feel like that's my obligation, because it's not like, we should all as investigators be walking into a haunted location and get to experience, we're lucky to experience these unfathomable, paranormal, unexplained events. If someone's trapped and they want help, I feel like it's my obligation to at least say a prayer for their soul. If they're looking for the light, then I'd like to help them, because, I put myself in their shoes, because I could have passed away in a tragedy, and I could be stuck and trapped by some negative entity in some horrible location, not being able to do anything, and then have all these people just sitting there looking for you to do tricks like you're in some sort of paranormal zoo. I feel like, if someone asks me for help, I want to say a prayer for them, and I feel like, that's what I try to do. If you want help and you ask for help, like, I'll sit there and say a prayer for you. And right around that time, because I was asking questions, if Joanna wanted some help, I don't think they like that at all.
right.
And I think
There was a response too, Sean, when you asked that question on that clip. There was a response right after you asked that, and then that's when the thing went flying. So it's perfectly obvious it was pissed that you were trying to help.
Yeah. Yep.
Vanessa Hogel wants to know, are any spirits trapped there? Do you believe any spirits are trapped?
Oh, yeah.
I do. I think there's many.
No doubt. Yeah, many diversified spirits. I don't know how many. I don't think any of us can really say, but obviously all the different amounts of people that have gone there and had different names that come through and different experiences and types of shadows. We can only judge, speculatively, how many and who or what is doing what. They're the ones who are really observing us. And that's why they're able to play with us and attack us in so many different ways.
Yeah, and one of the things we like to do, Noreen, Sean has had, he's been on a television show and stuff, but I haven't, and when I see these shows going to these locations, I want to go there myself and see if there's any truth to what they're picking up, so that's what I like, I like to go to those places and see, hey, is there any truth to what people are saying is going on here? And that's, I feel like we've documented that, I believe there's some really nasty stuff in Bobby Mackey's, and there's a lot of truth to what other people have experienced there.
And that's what's so amazing about being a true, genuine, passionate paranormal investigator, is going to these locations and really trying to discover and experience these things firsthand and try to figure out why or how it's happening, because we sit there with our rational minds to come up with rational explanations how these things are happening. When you sit there and you watch something like his chew can that's 10 feet away from us on a table, and we know that it's there, and then just all of a sudden hear ping, ping, 30 feet away, no one else is in the room, and three of us are there, like, how do your mind wrap around that? But it's so fascinating, and that's why paranormal investigating is endlessly fascinating, even though that with the dangers involved, and that's why we sit here and our true passion, trying to discover and find out the truth to what is going on in all these different locations. And well, it's a privilege to know that there is something after death, in my opinion, absolutely.
Now,
For sure.
Vanessa Hogel had also asked, has anybody tried to free Johanna? But has anybody come up with any evidence or any EVPs or anything that Johanna might be stuck there?
We've got responses saying that it was Johanna, but you never know. That's one of the tricks of doing this investigating, Noreen, because you often hear me say this. People have often heard me say this. We don't know for sure with 100% what we're communicating with. It can say it's a child, or it could say it was Johanna or Joe Blow, but we really don't know what we're communicating. Sean, I've done a lot of work with him. We've done several investigations together, and in another instance, we came across some female spirits that we felt were trapped at this location, and he helped cross them over, and there was something negative there that was really pissed when he was done, and it was not pretty, and he had stuff going on after that for months.
That guy's still after me too.
Yeah.
I mean, that was epically crazy. Because I'm holding you got the SB11 on the over the fireplace, and I got an SB7 in my hand, because I was talking about, if you have women here trapped here, I'm like, I'm going to say a prayer for them, and it screamed, "Get over here," on the spirit box. So I stood right up to it. I'm like, look, my faith is stronger than any evil spirit. Like, if I feel like people are trapped, I'm going to say a prayer for them. So I sat there, said a prayer for these two women, and I tried to imagine a white light coming down. I'm like, look, if you can see the light, go towards the light. And I got a flash of like a white dove in my mind's eye, and all of a sudden, in my one hand, I had the SB7, and you hear a female say, "Thank you." And on the SB11, you hear another female say, "Thank you." And that was mind-blowing to me.
Yeah, it was crazy. So, like you said, we try to help if we think there's something there that needs crossed over or released somehow. He tries to say a prayer for him and do it that way. But it goes to show you that there was something negative there that was really pissed, because we felt it was holding them there. And that could be the case with Bobby Mackey. It's the same type of situation. There's definitely something negative there. How many negatives there are, we don't know. But I think there's a lot of trapped souls there, personally.
Yeah.
Now, Dave, I have that other video that you gave me. Let me set it up so it stops. The Carl one kept repeating. So let me set this so it's removed once it's played. Okay, so I'm gonna. This one is your IR, and I think you captured Johanna. You asked her a question.
Yeah.
Do you want to set it up?
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah, well, Sean and the other three guys I think they went outside to actually warm up, because it was so freaking cold in there, like he said. I mean, and I wasn't too bad at that point, and I kept on doing some stuff. It was actually by the entrance to Carl's apartment, and I just had the FLIR camera going, and I was filming it with my other camera, and I had a Hack Shack ghost box running. And I forget the question I asked right now. I sent you the clip, but I'm trying to refresh my memory. But I asked a question to something to the effect, "Is Johanna still here?" And you'll hear the response.
All right.
I mean, just play it for her.
Yeah, I'm going to play that clip. I'm only playing it once, though. Otherwise, it'll keep looping. All right, here we go.
Johanna, are you here? You're going where?
It finished.
Okay. Yeah, and that's the kind of responses we look for when we're doing this. Female response in a female voice, and I don't tell anybody I know what I'm talking to without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, I want people to make up their own minds, and I just tell my opinions, and I think Sean's the same way. We're not here to change anyone's belief system or anything like that. We just document what we get, and we share our experiences with people.
Now I have one more clip, and Dave, I wasn't able to listen to it, and I tried to find it on my downloads, and I couldn't find it, so I can't tell you which one. It was the one where you're sitting at a table, and maybe it's one where it says Bobby.
Oh yeah. I asked who owns this establishment or who owns this building now, and it says his name clear as a bell.
All right, I'm gonna play that one next.
Who owns this bar?
Okay, just played it.
Yeah. So that's, those are just some, we got tons of responses. We could sit here all night with the responses. I think we were in that place for 6-7 hours. We got tons of really good responses on the stuff we were using, and we could sit here all night and play them. But, I picked out, I think, 4 of the best ones that were really pertaining to the location and the people affected in that location.
Did you have any more responses from Carl?
Yeah, we did have a couple of more EVPs. Like I said earlier, we got one that was pretty clear, I think, Sean. We asked him if he was trapped there, I believe, and he said yes. But it was not. It was like I would call it a Class B. It was really faint, but you could hear it. And I don't enhance anything I get. So, if it's not good enough to where we can all hear it, and I don't have to mess with it or anything like that, I'm not going to share it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Did you ask him any other questions besides that?
Oh yeah, we asked a lot of questions. If he, I think we asked if his sickness was caused by the entities there. We got no response. And like Sean said, what was very compelling when we were all up there, the whole floor started shaking.
Yep.
It
was right after we had asked if it was a portal to hell downstairs, and the floor starts to shake.
Yep.
Wow.
It felt like, you were in one of them fun houses. We were all kind of going, what the hell? And we were like moving and stuff. It was freaky, man. And the only person in the building was one of the folks that run the paranormal stuff there for Bobby now. So, and she was downstairs next to the heater because it was freezing cold in there.
I've never been so cold in my life. Flat out.
It was freezing.
Oh my gosh. Now what about down where the well is? Were you down there also doing EVPs and ghost boxes or whatever?
You got something on your thermal, Dave, and downstairs in the basement too.
Yeah, we actually went behind the well, and there's some rooms back in there, and we were just we were doing some ghost box, and I think you guys were running one of those iPhone ovuluses or whatever, and we were getting some creepy responses there, but I was shooting with the FLIR camera through, it was like 3 doorways, I think, out by where the well was, and we saw something on the FLIR footage that looked like a human form standing there, but when I go to recover the footage, it's gone. It was missing. So, you can't. If you can't show the evidence, it's just a story. But they all saw it, and I saw it on the FLIR camera. So, just one of those things. Sometimes those entities, they do mess with your equipment, and you have all kind of battery drain and stuff like that.
Okay, we have some questions.
Sure.
Okay, John Johan. That's common for investigators and even patrons of the establishment. Did they speak with the spirit of Carl Lawson? Okay, you had already.
Yeah, we answered that one, I think. I personally believe we did. There's no doubt in my mind that was Carl.
And Vanessa Hogel again wants to know. She said this is a weird question, but anyone know if people have experienced what feels like claws on their shoulders while at Bobby's?
I didn't get that sensation. I did the first time we were there. I felt if something was touching my leg, and that was the same leg that I had the problem in later in the night. We saw some shadow figures down there, shadow play going on all over the place, and we saw it the second time in that basement. That basement is creepy as hell. there was a lot of shadow movement down there, and but something did touch my leg the first time there, and that's when I had the problem where my ankle swelled up really bad.
Yeah, it's probably pointing to be like, yeah, I did that just to remind you,
Yeah,
give you a signal.
exactly.
There's someone in the chat room by the name of July Lioness, and this is their thoughts about the show. I wonder if they are aware of the law of attraction. Low energy attracts energy. Go into a place expecting negativity without protection and a bad attitude and swearing.
Well,
and I'm a total believer of that law, the law of attraction, especially with learning about the astral realm and what I've read in books and stuff about how things are being created just by our mindset, and I really do believe that we attract things for the way our mind reflects. You're telling the universe that you want more negativity. If you're going into a haunted location, even if you're protected, by bringing negativity, it's like saying, for example, you go to a home where it has a demonic presence, and you do an exorcism in the home, and these things can't come back in. But I mean, if the family starts fighting with each other, there could be still some residual ways, little cracks in the aura of the portal that they could break right through if that negativity that the family's bringing back, or some of the original reasons why they were allowed in the first place. So yeah, negativity breeds negativity. It's not just physical; it's spiritual. Absolutely. I think that's where faith comes in too, because realizing that we affect things by the way we think in a world that we can't see. So I think that's the way of faith works, because if we really truly knew what we were attracting in this other realm by thinking stuff, we wouldn't really need faith. And I think that's kind of like the interesting, mysterious way that God has come up with, believing in ourselves and believing in God in general.
Yeah, and just like he said, but let me make this point to everyone. We do not go into a location provoking things. If that's what they were meaning by cussing and all that. I do cuss. I mean, I was in the military for 9 years and law enforcement for 12. So, I have a potty mouth at times, but it's not in a sense of going in and provoking things. I never do that, except for if I feel if there was a human spirit in the place, and that person was a POS in real life. Most likely, if they're still in a location after they're dead, they're going to be a POS, in that location after death too. And if I feel that they were hurting people and hurting children, then sometimes I do a little bit of down the road, to elicit a response from that entity, in that manner. But negative entities will exploit any weakness that you let them. Whether just like Sean said, if you have an alcohol problem, if you have a drug problem, if you have a sexual deviation, they're going to exploit that, and they're going to rip. That's how they use those things to rip families apart and people apart.
Yeah, I mean, you go into a haunted location with dark energies with a group of people. You're kind of like a group of fish, and the people who have those sorts of history of maybe alcoholism or depression or anything, you're like a wounded fish in a pack of fish. And who do the sharks go to in a pack of fish, and who is acting like wounded? They sense the wounded fish, and they go straight for them because they are the perfect target. And they know exactly who is the perfect target. If there's 5, 6, 10, 20 people walking into an investigation, who's going to mess up and who's most susceptible to the perfect chaotic attacks that they can continuously go after that person. And remember that they can see into the future as well. So they have a lot of keys to, the game that we do not have, that we can only speculatively have when they have a lot more information. That's where we play that game.
Absolutely.
Vanessa Hogel, Dave, does the history show activity to be time specific, like seasons, or is it continuous?
That would fall along the lines, in my opinion, under residual and intelligent hauntings. Of course, a residual would be something that plays over like a record. It happens on the exact same time, the exact same day. the same thing over and over, like a movie just playing, over and over and over. An intelligent haunt's a whole different thing. It's something that's random. You can communicate with it, and it does things.
I think there's so many different scenarios that can go on when a person dies that puts them into a specific spiritual after-death situation, just like a residual haunting could be, or an intelligent haunting, or someone who doesn't know they're dead and they're just like in this like dumb phase of not really being able to figure out anything. I think there's all the different ways that people can actually die. I think there's probably just numerous ways and scenarios that actually create these spiritual ghost-like environments for these spirits to be trapped in, like we know them as ghosts.
Absolutely.
Janice Fender, do you feel like evil fed off you?
People fed off
From Bobby Mackey's?
Yes, Bobby Mackey's.
Oh, yeah. To some extent, I do.
I think we go on in any investigation. I always say this. I mean, it's a different type of work. I call it a paranormal workout, because when you're giving that intent and that acknowledgement to that possibility, to what's going on in that location, and you're legitimately, genuinely trying to communicate what's in there, they are taking energy from us and our devices in all sorts of different ways. I mean, leaving an investigation for hours and hours when you're just kind of just walking around, I mean, it's a different type of tired. I mean, it's just like you're literally like on another planet. It feels like you haven't slept for days. It's very draining. So absolutely.
Go ahead. Yeah, I feel emotionally, physically, and spiritually drained after every investigation that we do. I mean, sometimes it takes a couple of weeks to recover, and you can tell, because especially when they're feeding off your energy, you're really thirsty, you want to pound water. I mean, it's very physically, mentally, and spiritually draining at times.
When you finished your investigation at Bobby Mackey's, did you do any kind of cleansing or anything to yourselves?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't mess around, especially the first time I went there. I've learned a lot since the first time I went to Bobby Mackey's. I mean, I don't mess around. I mean, this doesn't even leave my neck. It's a blessed St. Michael pendant. It's been blessed by priests in a couple of different ways. It's even been blessed by Ralph Sarchi, his Relic of the True Cross. I mean, I sleep with, St. Benedict coins in between my bed. I say 5 protection prayers a night. I mean, I bless my room with holy water. Yeah, absolutely. I brought holy water, with me for the trip, and said every, prayer. I'm a lot more experienced than I was when I first went to Bobby Mackey's, because that was like right around the time when I was just beginning, and also for my abilities, because it was right around that time my abilities was starting to appear, having dreams and premonitions to demonic entities and all sorts of stuff, which makes you even more susceptible to attacks if you're having spiritual awakening, because they can kind of tap into you a lot easier and mess with you. Yeah, no, I don't mess around with that. I mean, my faith is stronger than ever, and I know exactly how these things attack. I know what their games are, and you got to be able to nip this stuff in the bud. If it doesn't add up, if 2 + 2 doesn't equal 4 of why you are so depressed or why you're angry or sad, then you got to take a step back and be objective about those emotions, because something from a third-person perspective might be influencing that. Because if it doesn't make sense, then something might be going on, especially if you have a history of being a paranormal investigation, going to locations and so forth. I've learned a lot. I mean, sometimes you learn the hard way, but obviously, we like to come out there and let people know that these are the type of things that can happen, and avoid them if you can, because you can't hide behind your intent too. When we were talking about provoking stuff, because if your intent is to provoke, just to make it into some sort of funhouse night with an evil entity, I mean, they're going to have the best permission to attack you in ways that you really don't want them to do so. Something like me, if I'm saying a prayer and I genuinely want to help a soul, that's my intent, and there's no one can hide behind their intent spiritually. I mean, think about it. I mean, back of our minds, oh yeah, I'm not trying to do this or that. I feel like it's, trying to help someone, that's really important, because if your intent is to provoke and just to mess around, you are opening up yourself to attack, and that can happen anywhere in your life. That's the real scary part.
Do you guys feel
Yeah,
that?
they're gonna open up a paranormal carnival on your ass when you do stuff like that. It's gonna be a fun house with your soul and your spiritual energy, and it's happened. I mean, it's happened to numerous people.
Do you feel that you need to go back to Bobby Mackey's to get some more answers?
Well, point in case, Noreen, our friend L.A. Beast, he hooked up with Sean, and Sean called me and said, hey, man, we're taking the Beast to Bobby Mackey's because he wants to experience one of the worst places out there. And tell him how bad it messed him up, Sean.
Oh, yeah, I mean, LA Beast, I gave him a lot of pre-talk and things and scenarios just to make him aware. Yeah, I mean, after we left there, he started finding himself having, like, aggression, rage come over him a few times. Like, when he entered the hotel room, and he was looking at me like he wanted to kill me, and he even told me later I had to calm myself down. I don't even know where it came from. And I was just telling him, just, say some prayers. He had a blessed medal. I gave him some holy water put on his forehead. That's why it's so good to give the knowledge that we have as investigators through our experiences for someone like that who wants to go to a dangerous place like that. I want to give them every single precaution or scenario that we know that can happen to them before going in there, so they're prepared for it. Knowing how these things can attack in so many different layers can really help you, and at least try to avoid at every cost the types of attacks that can come your way. At least increase your percentages to avoid it at least.
Oh, yeah, and I talked to him recently, I think it was about a month and a half ago, and he's never going to paranormal investigate again.
Really?
I mean, that's what he told me. He said he's done. I mean, it really freaked him out. And even after he went home, he had to go get blessed at the church a couple of times, he said.
That's right.
So that just goes to show you, he begged Sean to take him. Sean took him, and we took him there, and that's, he got severely affected by it. So.
And
Yeah, he actually saw a shadow go around his bed too. I remember him saying when he got back. Yeah, it definitely changed his life, I think, for sure.
Actually, one of the viewers had to leave the show, Justin. He said, I have to go. He said the topic is making him very ill, and he got a migraine headache, Justin Elias.
That can happen sometimes.
Yeah. We have another question from Joyce Lynn. What was the temperature outside when you guys were so freezing on the inside that night?
I think it was the temperature of, I felt like we were on the set of March of the Penguins too. It was literally the coldest I've ever been. Seriously.
And it was colder inside Mackey's than it was outside. And that will happen when there's a lot of negative energy going on as well.
I've never been that cold in my life. It literally took me, when we got back to the hotel, probably an hour to defrost my feet. I've never been that cold ever. It must have been below zero that night for sure. It was definitely.
Yeah, it was really, really cold. And like I said, it was cold inside. It was cold. I felt it was colder inside than it was outside. It was cold outside, don't get me wrong, but it was probably in the low 40s outside, but it felt like it was 10 degrees inside that place.
Wow.
It was miserable cold. I've never experienced cold inside a building like that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Another question. Joanne Gray, how did you go inside the well by any chance? Did you go down are you allowed to go into the well?
You're allowed to stand it. Actually, LA Beast stood in it during the day and took a picture while he standing in it.
I think that's where he got affected. I'm not going to stand inside that thing. No way in hell.
No.
He did it. So.
I don't blame you.
And he also went in the basement by himself during the day. So, that's, in that place, I would highly tell people not to do that.
Wow. Starry Night wants to know, what was the strongest emotion you felt while investigating? I never felt rage, but
time I was there, I never really had an emotion, but it's the trance that I went into. I literally was just like feeling this feeling like I was going in and out of my head. But I have felt emotions like that in other locations. But, like I said, for this place, I quadruple blessed myself with prayer and holy water to kind of avoid any sort of negative, attachment or affect me negatively in any way. I didn't want them to project anything onto me in any way, so I try to avoid that at all costs.
And I would like to say the girls that run all the paranormal investigation stuff there for Bobby, Gatekeeper Paranormal, they were awesome to us. They're excellent people. Bobby and his wife Denise were awesome. I mean, we were treated like royalty the whole time we were there, and it was great. And I'd just like to give a shout out to both of them, all of them.
Absolutely. That was a great time. It's not only do we get to investigate Bobby Mackey, we get to see a LA Beast eat a 4-pound cow heart in front of the whole crowd. And I even got this thing. I got this thing on the famous Bobby Mackey stage too, which was actually pretty awesome.
Yeah, next night was great, man. We had a blast. Sean sang, he tore it up, and Beast ate the 4-pound heart for everybody for Valentine's Day, and Sean had a great birthday. And other than the negativity as far as the investigation went, we had a great time. And if you want to experience some serious paranormal investigating, go. I highly recommend it. But make sure you protect yourself. Is all I can tell you.
You got to have a strong faith foundation, because if you don't have a strong faith, you're just walking into a serious situation. You got to prepare yourself to have a strong faith, because that's the only thing that will protect you if you do encounter such a situation.
Also, what I can't stress enough, guys, is I gave you an example of Beast, how severely he was affected. Beast is a big dude, man. I mean, me and Sean are pretty big guys, but he's bigger than we are. And, this guy, he was messed up, and he's still messed up from it. I mean, he'll tell you about it, It doesn't matter how big and tough you think you are, these things can affect you, and they will.
We're playing on their rules, man. We can only speculatively, figure out what they're doing. We're just trying to make them react to us so we can get an idea of what they could do in front of us to witness it. But in the end, they're the ones observing us. We're trying to observe them just in a minute piece, if we're lucky, during an investigation.
Absolutely. Many other investigators have been attacked there, scratched. Everybody knows about the GAC crew was there, went there, did a 3-part series there, went back, and they said they will never go back because they were so severely affected. That's TV, but I personally think it really happened, and just a lot of bad juju at that place, man. Just one of those places that has a lot of bad energy attached to it.
That's one of those things for investigators. I mean, everyone can find loopholes in our stories and kind of be like a defense lawyer for rationalities. But us as investigators, when you sit there and you witness something that has no rational explanation, and you have that firsthand experience, there's no denying it. That's where these things really become, legitimate and real to us. And they stick with us, not just during that night. And you open up yourself to that possibility. It's life-changing, because you will attract a lot more experiences when you actually do believe in some of the experiences that you do have. And I think that our aura actually changes during that, and spirits will gravitate towards you more so because of that.
Absolutely.
Miss Ty wants to know, when we are depressed, is that evil oppression?
No.
Could be.
I mean,
Could be.
I'd say, it can happen like that, but they could take something so tiny, something that you're a little upset over, and blow it up like it's like devastating to the point where you want to take your life. That's, if it doesn't make sense. I mean, think about it. Should you be that upset over something? People who just go through normal daily life, I mean, it's not like everything's a demon. I mean, there has to be an invitation somewhere for them to have permission to come in and wreak havoc. Like, are you a paranormal investigator? Are you living in a house where you have some sort of weird happenings going on? Those are important facts to come into play. It's not like just someone random who's like, oh, I'm depressed, it's a demon. You don't want to press just like a buzzer on a game show and say it's a demon. There's specific characteristics that come into play if something evil is attached to you that you have to look out for. I mean, when I started having demonic experiences and dark stuff happen to me, I started reading books. I went out and bought The Demonologist about Ed and Lorraine Warren, and then I bought John Zavis's book, Shadows of the Dark, and then I'll tell you, the scariest demonic hauntings and possessions book I've ever read, The Dark Sacrament. It's all demonic hauntings and possessions that happen in Ireland. Terrifying. I had the chills just from reading that book. And I read, Ralph Sarchi's book, Beware the Night. These are all books that people who are, respectable in the field and had true, genuine accounts of demonic hauntings. And you'll realize and learn all the different characteristics and traits that these things leave behind and do on cases leading up to them trying to help these people, or people go through possession or whatever it is. And it really helps you. And you realize, too, I mean, like 95% of, demonic hauntings start with a Ouija board.
Yep.
Oh, really?
And that's what I try to tell people, Noreen. I've told you this, too, Noreen. You know this.
Yes.
I've done hundreds of residential cases in my time. And in 95% of my cases that I've investigated that people were experiencing negative type hauntings, 95% of those people had used a Ouija board and then started experiencing all these really bad negative things. So the numbers don't lie, and Sean hit the nail on the head. The numbers don't lie, guys. And I'm trying to put together something with a bunch of different investigators that have done a lot of residentials and folks that are experiencing negative or demonic type hauntings, to see if they can compile their numbers, and we can do like a consensus just to show people, hey, look, you got Joe Blow here, this guy, and this guy, been doing this for 20, 30 years apiece, and look at all the numbers of these people that have used the Ouija board, and these negative type things have happened to them.
But I have a question. There is, and Dave, I know you know who this is, and I'm not going to say her name, and she is an expert on the Ouija board, and she has been contacting spirits for years, 10 plus years, and she's very well known, and she goes to all the conferences where Darren Evan goes, and all of them. And when she does the Ouija board, she says she only connects with her spirit guides and good spirits. Now, how is it that this is the only person I have heard of that does this kind of thing, and yet everybody else, it's all negativity for them?
Well, I don't think it's all negativity for everyone. I don't think it's negativity. When you could play a Ouija board once or 100 times and nothing happened to you, but that one time might be the worst mistake of your life. Now, the real question is that truly worth it? No. I really don't think it is. That's up to you. The person, if you're willing to take that risk, that's up to you. That's the type of investigator or spiritual person that you are. But statistically speaking, just like, Dave, said himself about cases that we hear about, and all the cases that I've read about in all these books, that they are mostly Ouija boards. It's because we're using our free will and putting our hands onto an inanimate object to use the intent to open up yourself to the doorway to communicate to whatever is there. Is that broad intent can lead to trickery. The most famous exorcism of all time, which led to The Exorcist, is the true example of that. It's the same exact thing. When the boy and his aunt used to play the Ouija board all the time, and then she passed away, and then he tried to contact his aunt, and he's getting all this information that no one else would know but the aunt, which obviously we know there's no conception of time in the spirit realm, so the demonic entity could give him any information that he wants to know from any part of his life, and he thinks that he's talking to his aunt, until that portal and doors open up enough where all of a sudden it didn't have to communicate with him anymore, and all of a sudden the characteristic and traits of a true demonic haunting start to happen, the scratching on the walls, the foul smells, and so forth. That's just a risk. A lot of people are very, ignorant mature when it comes to getting involved with this stuff and just picking up a Ouija board and trying to contact a spirit. I mean, obviously the person playing Ouija board has got a lot more experience. You probably have a good idea maybe to protect yourself to some degree, but there is no guarantee. And just like we were saying before, those statistics are against you than they are for you. And that's just a risk, you have to be willing to make. That's up to you with your free will choice.
You take it or leave it, guys. We're just showing you our experiences and telling you, our experiences and our opinions on this stuff. If you like using the Ouija board and that's what you feel you got to do, then by all means do it. But don't come back to us and say, we'll say we told you so. You know what I'm saying? So, it's dangerous. You're taking your own soul in your own hands, if you will. So,
and that's why that Charlie game. I mean, they say it was just for that movie and stuff. It's actually even worse than the Ouija board because it's not the Ouija board. The problem here, people underestimate our own energy because we're putting our intent to touch an item and energize that item to turn it into a communicating device. And the Charlie game was actually a demon. So they were actually calling the demon Charlie that they want to communicate with. So you're already saying that you want to communicate with the demon. So that shit is even worse. and we're seeing people were actually, they had some instances of people getting messed up and, having videos of people starting to speak in tongues and, foaming at the mouth and stuff like that. I mean, that stuff's no joke when you're dealing with your intent. Your intent is to open up the doorway to a portal and communicate with whatever. That whatever could be something you don't want it to be.
Exactly.
All right, another question. Nancy Sopovita, do you think if Johanna gets freed from Bobby Mackey's, then the other trapped spirits following through and move on since Johanna, one of the first record death over there?
I think there'll always be trapped souls there. I think if she moved on, there's so much dark history with murders and suicides or whatever it is that you have such a diversified amount of energies that are probably coming in and out of there that may be attached to the property because it happened on the property, or they could just be dark energies that are just coming in and out of dark portals all over the freaking world coming in there because it's such a dark place. We don't know, really, but I don't think the energies will never leave there. There's always going to be activity there.
Do you think the spirits know of each other in that location? Are they aware of each other?
If it's a residual haunting, I don't think they know anything. They're living out a thing that's being played out over and over again. The intelligent hauntings, absolutely. Me, even with having abilities and learning that spirits talk through telepathy, there's no boundaries of communication. You don't even have a mouth. I mean, that's how they're able to come through EVPs, and somehow, these devices can pick up their disembodied voices. So yeah, absolutely. A lot of these things know exactly who's there. It depends on the type of energy. If it's an intelligent haunting, like I said, there's so many different scenarios and rules that may be coming into play with the world that they're in on the location and according to their death. I mean, I think there's so many different levels of possibilities that could be going on, but yeah, I do think that a lot of them do know that they're around a lot of other spirits and so forth.
Okay, my
and I've said this before, Noreen. I'll say it again. When there's so many bad things that happen on a particular piece of property, it puts a permanent stain on that property, and that bad energy is never going to completely leave it. It's always going to be there. I don't care if you bulldoze the building, and you build something else. That stain is always going to remain there.
I have a question. What is your favorite piece of equipment to use on more negative locations?
For me, I really love the spirit box because you actually hear the voice of the spirit in real time, and you can get full sentences. And I've noticed that activity does really spike sometimes when I turn on the spirit box if it's really an active location. That's a pretty wild device. No joke there. I would say the spirit box is one of my favorite.
Dave?
Yeah, sorry, I was answering a question. I really, I've said this 100 times. If I haven't said it once, I love recorders. You know, I love to capture those voices when I know it's not me. When I ask a question and I get an intelligent response from something that you cannot see in a room that I'm standing in, and I know it's not one of us or me in particular. And I love, Sean knows I love Hack Shack ghost boxes. I love the SB7, SB11. Any type of spirit box I love. I mean, and I think a lot of it, I think they're going to use whatever they want to use to communicate with you. You know, and I think each person's individual energy can affect that, you know, as far as what they are going to use to communicate with each particular person as an individual. And I think, like, me and Sean, like, for example, when we're investigating together, we have really good energy. We work well together. And same with me and my buddy Weatherly. You know, certain people's combined energy together, I feel, can really make the activity go off the chain, if that makes sense to you. You know, we've experienced that, me and Sean. I've experienced it with Weatherly, you know. I mean, and then someone else will come in, you know, and then the energy just goes flat for whatever reason, we don't know. But I think a lot of that plays into a lot of this too.
Mm-hmm.
Another question.
Like
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Probably like some sort of synergetic aura that goes on. I mean, us being spiritual aware and really open to stuff, and then there might be someone that's a little hesitant in that way of thinking that could, you know, be a monkey wrench for activity to some degree. It's a possibility.
All right, we have another question from Naomi Gomez. How many times have you been at Bobby Mackey's?
Twice.
Dave?
I think
I've been there 3 times.
And your experiences each time that you go, are they different?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Have they gotten okay from the first time that you've been there, and then you went to the second experience there? Was it stronger than the first?
Well, for me, I was way more prepared. I was way more versed in being a true paranormal investigator and how to protect myself. So it was a lot different because of that. Because I was walking into a spiritual minefield the first time, not knowing what the heck's going on. I just want to experience stuff. You know, kind of having. You know, I mean, obviously I believed in God and stuff, but really knowing the specific ways to protect yourself and specific prayers and methods and so forth. You know, I think it definitely different, but we still had a lot of activity. I mean, for my second time we went, I mean, had that thing thrown with the floor shaking and stuff like that. I mean, we still had activity, but just not so much the attachment stuff, which is a good thing.
Yeah, for me, it was, the first time was really eye-opening. The second time I went, weird as hell, flat. Hardly anything happened. I think I got 1 EVP. And I was with a couple other people, and like I said, it could have been their energy, I don't know, but it was really, really flat. And then the last time I went with Sean, holy cow, I mean, it was off the chain as far as activity goes, in my opinion. You know, we interacted with Carl, something was thrown, physically thrown, and we got some great, crazy stuff.
Okay, another question from Linda Nationalinas. After experiencing all this at Bobby Mackey's, what makes you continue to do this work if you know it's so dangerous and you have experienced it?
Well, faith is my best protection. I've experienced so much. I have been oppressed. I got through oppression by myself, and I'm one of the lucky ones to be able to do so. And there's a lot of people that cannot handle some of the things that you can go through being a paranormal investigator, you know, in a negative standpoint. You know, I feel like it's my journey. The more I experience, the more I can actually share my knowledge to people and experiences who actually might need help. Because I think it's, you know, the whole point of life is doing something for our fellow man and exploring the paranormal and then learning through it. And then like Dave, you know, writing his book, getting his story out there, you know, helping one person or 1 million people, whatever it is, you're making a difference. You're bringing awareness to the reality of there is something after death. There is God. And, you know, you're helping people. You're you know, because a lot of other people out there who are just discovering this stuff, and they're going to discover your story. They're going to discover, you know, the things that we go through through sharing our experiences. So, any way that we can help through our experiences, and the more that we experience, the more we learn, the more we can share our knowledge to people who might need our help in the future.
Yeah, and for me, I started this on my own personal journey due to an experience I had and my own spiritual journey as far as my faith goes. And it's just snowballed into this whole thing and become, I want to make people aware that there is something after we die. There's something that goes on. Don't know what it is for sure yet, because that's my own personal journey. Sean is more solid in his belief system than me. I'm still on my journey, but I know there's something there. I know what my faith-based is, and I do it for my own personal reasons, and I want to share what I experience with others, and also put out some warnings when I feel necessary that, hey, this is dangerous, guys. It can be dangerous. It can hurt you. It can hurt your family, and whatnot. It's going to carry on. I'll probably do this until I'm so old that I can't walk anymore. Because I'm still, I love it. It's my passion, and I'm always seeking answers to all aspects of the supernatural realm. That's just me.
Yeah. I mean, being a human is a short experience. Is as much as it seems slow to us when it really sucks. But being able to experience the paranormal is a truly unchartable, unfathomable privilege to get a little piece to the puzzle. Because when we die, there's no surprise anymore. Everything, the cat's out of the bag. We're going to know everything that we were trying to discover. Trying to figure it out is all part of being a human being. I mean, think about scientists who took risks over the decades, the hundreds of years, to explore physical things, putting themselves in front of animals and stuff so they can learn. We're just doing it on a spiritual level. It's the same thing.
And it's one of man's greatest questions. What happens to us after we die? That's like the final frontier, man. And there's more progress being made every day in this field. Unfortunately, we don't have that aha moment yet, but it's getting, there's a lot of things that are being captured on video, a lot of things on audio, and people's experiences. And it's way more widely accepted than it ever was now. So hopefully one day we'll all come to a better realization of what does happen, what happens to our energy when we pass out of our physical body, and maybe it'll enlighten everyone to some extent.
Okay, another question. They go by the librarian. They want to know, how deep is that well?
Oh, it's covered in. It's 3-4 feet deep right now.
Well, yeah, but it does go out to the drain all the way back to the back of the river. So we actually walked through the back, and you can walk right up and see the little curve that, you can't crawl all the way through up into the building, but you can crawl through the well right up until that little part. All the way through the tunnel. What is it, probably 50 feet or something, Dave?
Oh, easy, yeah. It at one time it was very deep, I'm sure, and it was just full of blood. Just think about how many thousands of cows were slaughtered there.
God.
So, that's a lot of energy. Whether it's animal or human, doesn't matter.
Yeah. Coyote S, which would you say is worse, Bobby Mackey's or Sedumsville Rectory?
That's a good question.
I think it's different. It's just different. It's a different dark energy. It's a different dark energy. I think there's a lot more diversified dark energies than there is, at Saturn's Rectory, but there's definitely something dark at Saturn's Rectory, and boy, did I have my experience there.
Yeah, we all did. That was a crazy. We did Sedumsville the night after Bobby Mackey's, guys. I don't know if you guys have seen that video on my channel, but if you haven't, watch it. It's pretty crazy. As soon as we walked in, we were in the attic just doing a walkthrough. I got scratched right here on the face, and then later in the night, our buddy Phil got an upside down cross scratch on his back. I've never seen anything like it, and he's like a total skeptic, and he's fairly new as far as paranormal investigating goes. And he was pretty freaked out, and then Sean had a crazy experience in there.
Yeah, I mean, I could tell you pretty briefly what happened to me there. Just another one of those experiences. 3 days before we went out to this trip, this is what happens to me to a place that I've never been to. I'll get a vision of the place. I had a vision of a house, and things were levitating. There was banging on the walls, and my friend Phil, who was coming with me, he was acting freaked out, and these little boy spirits were coming up to me and warning me about a demon. And I start to look out the window of this house, and I see this black donkey with red eyes running around the house, hee-hawing constantly. And I look over to the left, I see this black, nasty, red-eyed, peacock. It screeches, and then I woke up, and the next morning I told my friend Phil about the dream, and he's like, that's pretty strange, because I had a dream I was in a house with you last night as well. That was weird. But when we went to San Jose Rectory and we started to walk around, I realized that was the house of the dream that I was in. And when we used the spirit box in the first part of the investigation, it said that demon's name that the little boy's spirits were warning me about. It said it maybe like 20-something times in the beginning of the night. And then these little boy spirits were coming through, like saying like help and stuff like that. And then, Phil got the upside down cross scratch on his lower back. And, once again, I felt, it was towards the end of the night at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm upstairs in that dark energy, that has history in that room, where maybe some of the boys were molested or something. That I had the flashlight on, and the priest is saying it was the priest, and he had no regret for what he'd done, and maybe he had killed some of these kids. And I'm like, once again, if you have these kids trapped here, I'm going to say a prayer for these kids. And I did the same thing I did for those other women's spirits. I had the spirit box on for like a half hour, never said a word. And I have this on videos too, because I think, Dave, you were in the other room. And as soon as I said a prayer, I tried to imagine a white light coming down. And I was like, give me some confirmation if I help some of these kids' spirits cross over. And then you hear this voice come over the spirit box and goes, they are free. And that was wild. Now, when I got home, whatever's there, the evil priest or whatever it was, screaming in my ear, cursing me out, pissed off because you took the children away from me. 3 of them, screaming and cursing at me, trying to attack me in my bed for like, a month or 2 or 3 after leaving there. So yeah, that was really crazy. And now it's funny, Dave, you showed me that now they're going to be closing it down, and they have crazy messed up stuff happening there. I don't even know what's been happening there. I'm actually kind of curious considering what I experienced there after leaving.
It's so bad. It's so bad there that they're bringing the archdiocese down to bless it, and they're ceasing all paranormal activity investigating there by September.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh, wow.
And they're not even saying what all has happened there. They're just bringing the archdiocese down. I mean, that's a pretty big time dude in the Catholic Church to come down and bless a location. And we were there. We're one of the last groups that folks that'll ever investigate in that place. So.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that place is really active too. A different type of dark energy, but definitely dark and definitely active.
Yep.
Okay, another question from Beat 3 Airspace. Do any of you think or feel the Paranormal Investigation keeps Bobby Mackey's place stirred up?
Well, absolutely. I mean, absolutely to some degree, because you have so many different types of people that investigate differently, who might be investigating the wrong way and stirring things up when they're not supposed to. Yeah, there's so many different types of, I mean, absolutely. To what degree, we can't really say, but yes. Is it a factor? Absolutely.
April Keller, is Bobby Mackey ever affected from this place, being that he's the owner?
He does not talk about it. He doesn't acknowledge it. For the most part, from what I've seen, from many other people, he's just a skeptic. He never has really believed in it.
From Donna Gordon. When they went back the next night, when Beast was eating that heart, did they experience or sense anything? In other words, I guess, did that eating the heart stir anything up?
Well, he experienced stuff after going back from at the hotel, so that's him.
That's him.
I mean, I don't know if that's connected to that. I mean, that's really not. I mean, if you really think about it, that was just for a show for the bar. his intent was to entertain the people in the bar that night. It wasn't like to, you know, egg on the spirits. And I think if his intent was to egg on the spirits and you know, eat the heart over the portal of hell, which he was thinking about, which I told him not to do, absolutely not. You know, that probably would have been way worse.
Yeah. I mean, it could have amped the activity up somewhat, but I don't think his intent was anything to do with that at all.
Yeah.
And Andrew Cox wants to know, how evil is that place, Dave, since you were pushed? How evil do you think it is? Maybe on a 1 to 10 scale, what do you think?
I'd give it a 9 or a 10 easy, because it's just one of those places, like we said, bad energy there. A lot of tragic things happened in that location on that property, and I would rate it right up there with one of the worst I've ever investigated.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, with the amount of people that have been negatively affected leaving there after investigating there, yeah, I mean, it's just a long list of you know, reason to bring that to that conclusion. Absolutely.
All right, Joanne Dion, Sean, do you think psychic mediums attract spirits?
Well, absolutely, because what I was talking about before is that when you have a spiritual awakening, I believe that your aura color changes, and you're like a bright light, like you know, in a dark room to these spirits, and they gravitate towards you because they feel like they have a better chance to communicate with you, to hear them, to feel them, to see them. And I think that's what happens with a lot of children too, who have natural psychic abilities, and they're going to gravitate towards the kids because they're bright light, they're fresh from the spirit realm, and they're looking for attention. They want to feel like, you know, they're more like human, because a lot of them are trapped souls and they haven't left for whatever the reason is. They're trying to feel like more of a human being again, and getting that acknowledgement probably gives them energy and comfort to all sorts of ways, I'm sure. But yes, absolutely.
And the longer you do this, I personally feel that you become more open, and the spirits know that, and they know that you are there to communicate with them. And also, as far as Sean said too, children are very open. They don't have any filters, you know, and those spirits they know that, and they're drawn to them.
They haven't been contaminated by the rational thoughts as the parents hammer into our brains for a lot of these kids, where they lose their natural ability because, oh, your imaginary friend, you're imagining things. There's no such thing as ghosts, because they want to just get them to sleep. And they probably want to get to sleep themselves. And being around people that's all fake stuff, we lose that natural ability. Yes, it's definitely why they go towards kids, a lot of them, for sure.
Okay, Nicole Jacobs wants to know, have any of the spirits identified who they were in real life?
In general?
What do you...
I don't know, that was just what their question was.
Well, I've had spirits come to me, explain to me who they were, what happened to them from a location that I've been on. Actually, I don't even know if I told you, Dave, from the place we went to in Ohio. I had one of the women that was tortured show me that she was like in shackles and stuff, and tell me that she was murdered and tortured and stuff, and give me information. I mean, that sort of things happened to me. Yeah.
Oh yeah, when we communicate with them, we don't know who it is with 100%, with 100% shadow of a doubt, but we do get names of people that we know backed up with factual information that died there, and we do get those names on recorders, on spirit boxes, and the whole 9 yards. And in Sean's case, he has them come to him on occasion and show what they are going through. So, yeah, I would say yeah.
Okay, I think you answered this question earlier. I think Janet Wolf came in late. Did any of you guys bring anything bad home with you?
Not this time. Me was from the rectory. It wasn't from Bobby Mackey's.
No, we were really... Sean still had something from the rectory following, but I was way more prepared this time. We cleansed, I saged and everything else, just from prior knowledge of having been there before, I wanted to take extra precautions on the last time we were there. And in general, I take a lot more precautions now.
Oh yeah.
'Cause I
But when you step in the way of dark energies and foil their plans, they're gonna come at you and do whatever they can to mess with you. And if I have to be attacked in my bed a couple of times because I truly might have helped some children's spirits, then I offer it up to God. I don't care. I know I did the right thing. That's how I feel about it.
Andrew, getting back to Andrew, he wanted to know if you did have any violent attacks at Bobby Mackey's.
Physically, no, I didn't. This is the first time, like I said, I was physically affected by something there, and Sean had his deal.
Okay. Tracy Watts wants to know, why do you think Sadomsville is waiting until September to close it down?
I guess they're trying to make their last little bit of funds or something, to help upkeep the place, because that's a huge building. And hey, Tracy, that's a friend of mine, by the way. Yeah, I mean, who knows why, but they just up and say one day what last week they're closing it down because of very negative stuff, and they're bringing in the archdiocese. It's got to be pretty bad.
The librarian, do you believe that Bobby Mackey's is a portal?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, there's a portal on the property. I mean, it's not like Bobby Mackey's is a portal. There's a portal on the property where obviously a diversified amount of dark and low vibrational energies are coming in and out of because of the history and the things that have went on that property over the years. Absolutely, there's a portal there.
Okay. Well, that's all the questions we have. Do you have anything else to say about Bobby Mackey's, or one last final words to the viewers?
I mean, hey, if you ever decide to go there, I would say kind of read up on some stuff before going there. Just don't walk in there because you're curious about experiencing something. There's plenty of other places where you could kind of experience something to build up to that, because there's a lot of delicate situations that are waiting for you that could be really devastating for you and your life and your loved ones going into that place. You really just don't know what you could get. I mean, things can be different every time you go there. It's just like the Ouija board we were saying before. You could play with it, nothing could happen. You could play with it, and it could be the most devastating, life-changing, horrible, horrific event that you've ever experienced. And that's the same, I believe, for Bobby Mackey's. So.
Yeah.
So what's happening with you, Sean? I know you just released your first single. Was it through Warner Brothers Records?
Well, there was a little delay with it. It's actually supposed to release, hopefully, at midnight tonight, even though I have a poster saying it came out already.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, no. Yeah, Universal's backing it with Equilibrium Records, and I've never had the backing of a label before. So I'm excited to see, what that can do with good marketing and getting it out there on the radio and so forth. So, yeah, I mean, those are my two passions, Casper and music.
He's good at both.
Any books in the works, or any conferences or anything that that's happening for you?
I did start working on a book, and I got to get back into it, so I will finish a book. I just did find out I'm going to do some sort of lecture at St. Albans Sanitarium in the beginning of August. I was just asked to do, so absolutely with that. I mean, for now, I might do an event in October at the Hinsdale House. I was just asked to do, but I'll post about that. I mean, that's what it's all about for me. It's my passion. Like I said before, I want to share my knowledge. I want to, just exude all this experience to people and meet other, like-minded people that are passionate about the field and curious about it. It's great. I mean, we have the rest of our lives to, learn, experience, and meet people that have experienced stuff just like us. We can all learn something from each other. Synergistically, I think that's how we should be as a paranormal community for this genre, so to say. And
Dave Spinks, what about you?
As most of you know, I'm working with David Weatherly and Mike Ricksecker on SOS, and we'll have some news with Sean on that here recently, coming up in the near future. So we're really excited about that. And like I said, I just finished my book. It's getting the fine details and editing done as we speak. So it should go to print very, very soon in the next few weeks, I would say. Super excited about that. It was over a 2-year process. The book is very dark about something I experienced, and it really affected me negatively in many, many ways. So, and as I was writing the book, I had to often stop because whenever I would start writing about my experiences, bad stuff would start happening. So that's why it took so long. It was a very long process, but I got through it and had to get cleansed numerous times because of it. But, I wanted to get my story out there and share it with folks and let them know, again, the dangers that you can encounter doing this stuff. Also, SOS, Society of the Supernatural, we'll be releasing our first DVD series in the near future. It's not TV, folks. It's the real deal. We're not under any producer's thumb. We do what we do, and people have asked for this, so we're going to deliver it to our many fans and supporters. So we're super excited about that as well. And we're going to keep doing that. We're going to keep filming everything we do. It's the real deal, no fancy-dancy editing and all that good stuff. It's just guys going out doing the real deal, and that's what we want to show people, the real deal, not the TV aspect of paranormal investigating. So we're super excited about that, and a lot of cool stuff coming up in the near future.
Awesome.
Also, Maureen, before we get out of here, I don't know if you guys know, but the West Virginia just had a 1,000-year flood. Okay, thousands of people right now in this state, in my home state, are homeless. They've lost everything. They don't even have underwear to wear because it was washed away. There's a lake by my house that took in 66 billion gallons of water, enough for every person in the world to have 3 gallons. Now that's saying something. I mean, it's a devastating thing that went on. They're calling it a once in a 1,000-year type thing. And a West Virginia native country music singer named Brad Paisley, I'm sure you all know who he is. He has set up a GoFundMe. If anyone wants to donate even $10, it helps these people buy toothpaste and freaking underwear, just the necessities of life. You can go to GoFundMe and donate to Brad Paisley's it's his personal fund, and he'll make sure those people get the money. And there's also another one. Let me give it to you guys real quick. This is what we do also. We help people, and this is a tragic situation that happened here in my home state. Brad Paisley is from West Virginia. So, we want to try to help those people as much as we can. It helps them buy water, folks. They don't have anything. Many people drown. There's still people missing. So if you guys want to donate $5, $10, please, by all means, please do so. That fund has already raised $325,000. But 44 counties out of 55 were declared a state of emergency and disaster areas. That's how bad it was. So thank you guys if anyone wants to donate.
Oh yeah, Dave. Will you post that on your Facebook page, and then we can all share it and pass it along?
Yeah, and also you can also donate to the American Red Cross. They're here helping, but I prefer people like Brad Paisley because I know he's going to make sure the money gets to those people, specifically. And superstars like that, it's great when they come back to their home state and help out in situations like this. Jennifer Gardner is another one. She's from West Virginia. She's doing a big campaign to help people here. So I'll post it on my Facebook and everything so you guys can donate. And in the general local area, the town right down the road where my son goes to school was just obliterated, guys. I mean, it was horrible. Only reason I didn't get infected because I live on top of the mountain. I mean, people washed away in their sleep. It's just a horrendous thing. So any help you guys can give, we would really appreciate it.
Wow. Thanks, Dave. All right. My best wishes to you, Sean, and wishing you a lot of luck on your new record coming out. And I want to thank you so much for joining me on the show tonight. And my good buddy, Dave Spinks. Thanks, honey, for coming on the show. And
thanks for having me.
It was a pleasure to have both of you on the show, and thank you so much.
No, Brian,
Thanks to everybody in the chat. You guys are awesome. Thanks for all of our fans and supporters. You'll be seeing a lot of us in the near future together. So
Look forward to that. Thank
Awesome.
you. Good night. Thank you.
Have a good night, Nori. Thank you.
Good night. Thank you.
later, bro.
Later, man.
Oh, awesome. Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining me tonight. It was a pleasure to have Sean and Dave on the show, and I hope you enjoyed the show, and thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to give the show a like, and for those who haven't already subscribed, if you would please subscribe, I would really appreciate it. So let's do some shout outs. Let's do some shout outs, okay? Janet, oh, wait a minute now. Oh my God, there it goes. Oh, and I want to thank my mods. Thank you. Royce Hinman, Unique Sweet Annie. I don't know if Crystal Tip, is she in the, I don't know if she's here tonight, but especially to Royce, who hasn't been feeling well, please send your love and positive vibes to Royce, please. And Sweet Annie, she's always here as well. And Justin, I hope you feel better. I'm so sorry the show affected you, and I hope you're feeling better. And everybody give a group hug to each other. Love in the chat room. And everybody, so let me start doing some shout outs. It's going by so fast. Okay. Margaret Murray, the librarian, Maria Amador, Diana, oh my God, see now I can't. And poor Royce, he keeps telling me how to do this, and I don't listen to him. Sorry. Bobby Merritt, Diane Hilbert, Coyote S, Miss T, Tina Nichols, Chippa Terry, Stephen Curley, Mama Joe Buffalo Woman, Elaine Michael, Alberta Girl, Sweet Annie, Janice Bolt, Donna Gorton, Justin Elias. I hope you're feeling better, honey. Oh gosh, now wait a minute, I lost it. Zoe Small, Jill 1217, Janet Wolf, Beat 3 Airspace, Greta T, Andrew Cox. Oh, shoot. Oh, I can't. This is driving me nuts. Savannah Lamar, Tammy Warnick, Joyce Lynn, Nancy Soplavita, The Unseen Scene, Janice Bolt, Alan Poe, Ginger Simmons. Group hugs, everybody. Stephen Curley. Anybody else want to shout out? We had a lot of people in the chat room tonight. Some left. B Singer 11. Oh God, you guys, I got some good shows coming up. David Voy, Andrew Cox. Okay, Andrew, we'll pray for your hair to come back. Happy Canada Day on the 4th, yes, and we will have Happy 4th of July here for us. And River, there you are, River. Bobby Merritt, Karen Hirsch, I See Lies, Cindy Burke, Jeremy Lagus. Yes, Jeremy is going to be doing a show with me. Mary Dallas. Okay, Linda Nash. You know, honey, I'm really sorry I can't pronounce your name. Linda Nationalis. I can't pronounce it. Forgive me. I'm terrible at that. Yes, the next show. Okay, Starry Night. Lynn Bowling. Okay, Carl White. Oh, you always come in at the last minute, Carl. Joanne Dion. Okay, yeah. Let me tell you about Jeremy. Jeremy, you are coming on. Jeremy's going to come on August 4th, and he's going to talk about, and actually, oh, hi, Para Princess Patricia. And and when I already made the event for the show, and YouTube said that I could not monetize that show. It wasn't approved. because the advertisers wouldn't like it. So too bad. I'm doing the show anyway. Super Witchy Games, Sharon Rivers, Anita Ackerman. I know, Royce. I'm afraid to do it. I'm afraid I'm going to screw things up. Royce keeps telling me, poor thing, he keeps telling me how to do this, and I'm always afraid. All right, okay, so I'm going to try it. Okay, so it says pop out chat. Yeah, anyway, I don't care about what YouTube says. They don't have to monetize it. I'm doing that show. So it's going to be August 4th, and he's going to talk about a mortician's life. Oh, hi, John Johan. Yes, John Johan. I love you too. You know what? He made a comment under one of the shows, and it actually brought tears to my eyes. Nobody has ever said the beautiful things that John had said to me. It was a big, long paragraph that he had sent to me, and I've never in my life. It was beautiful, and thank you so much. I've never had anybody say those things to me before. Kathy Salento. Oh, Christy Cragen. Okay, so let me tell you. So anyway, we are going to do the show on the life of a mortician, a funeral director. Jeremy also has been involved in embalming. And from start to finish, meeting up with the family, he's got a great story to tell us that I'm really interested. I've always wanted to know. So that's on that's on August 4th. But let me go back. So next week, July 7th, Vanessa Hogel is returning. We're going to do more unsolved mysteries, unsolved murders. And I'm going to get her to do more sketches. You know, the last show we did, she did a sketch. It came to her. So we're going to do more of that next week, okay? Now look, you know what happened? Are you familiar with Who's in the News? It's a huge website. They have almost 1 billion viewers. Well, guess what? The show that Vanessa and I aired, I guess it was last week, on the unsolved murders and mysteries and remote viewing. There's a girl who writes articles for Who's in the News, and she loved the show, and she wrote an article, and I have a link on my Facebook page. She wrote, and she also promoted my video. And almost 1 billion people go to that site. So she wrote an article on that show. She highlighted Vanessa plus 2 other psychics, and a channeler, and compared the answers and the questions with all 3, and then my show is posted. It's actually promoted on that page, and I really feel honored. That I feel so honored about that. Anyway, so let me tell you, so it's going to be a good show because I'm going to come up with some good ones for her to answer to. And then, I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but Paul Eno, who was one of my very, very favorite guests. I just love Paul. He's done, I think, 4 shows with me now. He's coming back. Paul Eno is one of the most intelligent people I have. Besides Andrea Perrin, she's extremely intelligent. I mean, there are some. But Paul Eno is also one of the most intelligent people. There isn't anything he doesn't know. Anyway, we're going to talk about the Mandela effect. I don't know if you know anything about that, but I'm really excited to learn about that. It's called the Mandela effect. And then also and that's on the 14th. And on July 21st, Phil Siracusa is going to tell all. He had promised that he was going to do that. And so let's see what he comes up with. He said he's going to spill everything, tell all. What he knows, what's going on, the Book of Gosha, the secret societies, the whole works. So That's on the 21st. And oh my God, guess what? On July 28th, Ron Filber, he wrote a book called The Mojave Desert Incident. And it's a true story, a horrific story of an alien abduction. And it's I think it's the #1 book for alien abductions. And he's coming on. And then okay, so then August 4th is Jeremy, and then August 11th is Rick Hayes, and I forgot to write the little promo about him, but he's very well known. He's a very well known psychic, and we're going to talk about ghosts and stuff. And then on the 18th, I don't know if you've ever heard of the Devil Tree. Keith Rommel wrote a book on the Devil Tree. Oh, hi, Phil M. And oh, thank you, John. I mean, really, that was so nice of you to say that, John Johan. I'm lost for words. And anyway, the Devil Tree from Keith Rommel. I've never heard of the Devil Tree. One of the viewers sent me a message, and they wanted a paranormal group to talk about it. But you know me, I like people who write books. I'm not have anything against paranormal investigators, but 98% of the people that come on my show have written a book, and I honor those that have written books. So anyway, he wrote a book on the Devil Tree, and I told Dave about it. Dave goes, yeah, so he's coming on. Now, another thing is, I was in contact with I think Keith McCloskey. I can't remember his first name. He wrote a book on the Day at Love Pass incident. Well, I found out he's writing a second book on the Day at Love Pass incident. And he's got another book coming out because he was able to go to Russia and he was able to get into their files that they've kept hidden for years. And he is writing a book, an update on the Day at Love Pass incident. Now, I don't know if he'll tell all, but he's going to talk to us about it. And he said, and he's from the UK, and he said that he would love to be on my show. So I will contact him in August because he told me to contact him in August. And and if I may have to do the show earlier or later, but I don't care. I just want him on my show, and I'll get up at 2:00 in the morning if I have to get him on the show. And so, and then, oh my God, September. Okay, I'm just going to go through September. I don't want to bore you guys. In September, Dave and I are going to do a show on the doppelgangers. We have stories to tell you, and Dave and I often talk about what's been happening, and we're going to talk about doppelgangers, and I'm really excited about that. September 8th, Linda Godfrey, who is extremely well known in cryptozoology and monsters. She's written so many books. We're going to talk about Dogman. And then Mark Hewitt is coming here live in the studio. We're going to talk about, he is an expert on the Zodiac serial killer. And then, and then I got Vanessa coming back on September 29th. I hope you guys don't get tired of that, because I absolutely love unsolved mysteries and unsolved murders, true crime. That's one of my favorite topics. So, Mac 87 Patty. So everybody, thanks so much. If you guys have anybody that you would like, any topic that you would like to have on the show. Phil, I've done several shows with Linda Godfrey. They're on my front page. We did monsters. We were going to do a whole series of air, sea, and land. And I did the first series I did with her was Monsters of Air. And I've got 2 more to do with her, and I will complete that series. So everybody, I'm going to go. If you have any suggestions for a show, please send me a message on Facebook. You can find me on Facebook. Also, don't forget you can sign up for show reminders on paranormalzone.tv. And there's an email or a contact. Just send that to me and you can get on the email list. Oh, yeah, you know, I did a show with David Weatherly on the Black-Eyed Children. That's also on my front page. But I would really like to do an update. And David Weatherly is so busy. But I am going to get him on the show. We'll do an update on the Black-Eyed Children. And he's also written 2 more books. And the second book I'd really like to get him on too is about gin. I've never done a show on that. Let's see, what else? Okay, oh, and there's going to be big changes with YouTube. Big changes. I don't think they're going to allow me to do, they're not going to allow us to do events set up like I've been able to do now. So I haven't read all the information. They've sent me some videos to look at, and there is going to be a lot of big changes coming down with YouTube within the next couple of months. And I think that's about it. Oh, Jimmy Cortez, honey, how are you? I didn't see you in there. Everybody, please send good vibes, positive vibes to Jimmy as well. He needs positive energy his way. Also to my dear friend Royce Hinman, please send your prayers to them and positive energies. And oh God, that's right, it's 4th of July on Monday. Oh my God, this weekend I'm spending the whole weekend with my daughter, Saturday and Sunday. My husband's going to be on the USS Haunted Hornet. They've got big things going on there. And Saturday and Sunday we're going to be barbecuing, and we're going to be having a movie marathon on Saturday and Sunday, and I'm really looking forward to that. So everybody, have a happy 4th of July. Don't forget to send me some requests for shows, and I can also look for a guest. Like I said, I prefer someone who's written a book, but there are people. I've always wanted to do a show on my ghost story, and I know I had talked about this before, and on July 11th, supposedly the Paranormal Experiments with Phil and Carissa is supposed to come back. Only this time it's going to be aliens and demons. And the title's going to change up a little, so we'll see. It's supposed to happen on July 11th. For Monday nights, that series is coming back, from what I understand. And if not, then I will do Monday my ghost stories. You can when I start that up, I'll let you all know. And if you have a ghost story that you'd like to share, then we will be doing that. So anyway, I'm going to go now, and happy Canada Day to our Canadian friends. Oh no, David Pilates won't come on the show. I've tried, and it's almost impossible. And it's almost impossible to get David Pilates. So I just have to do it in another form. That's all. I think Dave and I and David Weatherly will probably do some more of those strange disappearances, and I'll do some with Vanessa, because that is my absolute favorite topic. I love it. True crime disappearances is my favorite. So everybody, Maria Hernandez, hi honey. All right, so everybody, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna get something to eat. I rescued another kitty. It's number 15. It was a little baby when it showed up at my house. It was 6 months old. He was just a little thing, and I've been feeding him for 6 months, and I was able to capture him. He's in the house. It's been 2 days now, and he's been meowing. He's good. Sometimes he'll meow, and then he'll be quiet. I think he gets tired of meowing, and he falls asleep. And I have him in the guest bedroom next door to my studio, and I had to close the door because he was meowing. But he must have fallen asleep because I haven't heard him meow. So it's another little kitty I got, number 15, and I'm just waiting so I can pet him and get him in a cat carrier, because off to the vet he goes for examination. I doubt if he's fixed, get all his little shots, and he'll be another kitty in our house. Okay, everybody, so, yeah, it's very expensive. My kitties get the best of everything, but they're worth it. I love them to death. So everybody, I'm going to go. Thank you so much for being here. I love you guys. And big hugs to all of you for coming in each week. I really appreciate it. Yeah, he meowed himself to sleep. Okay, everybody, I'm exhausted. And I love you guys. I love you guys so much. So thank you so much. It means so much to me to have you come in every week. And so hugs to everybody. Have a safe weekend. If you can donate money to help those poor people, I'm going to donate some money. I'll get the link from Dave, and I'll post as well for those poor people. I just feel terrible for them. So everybody, good night, and I love you guys, okay? Good night. Thank you so much. Love you guys.